I've come to a point with Mike Tomlin, because I'm a curious guy. I want to get better and smarter, that the stuff that Mike Tomlin controls is never the loose stuff. It's always the offensive stuff, which tells me it's Big Ben. And because every year, the Steelers develop defensive play. I never look at the defensive stats and think, they are underachieving. It's Pittsburgh's offensive stats. And Mike Tomlin's a defensive coach, like a Tony Dungy or a Bill Belichick. You hire a coordinator, and you kind of let them take it. And so Mike Tomlin is so good. John Gruden and Tomlin are so good interviewing. Everything's in 9-second sound bites. Everything is quotable. And he is getting tired of this epidemic of dropped passes with the Steelers. It's been so bad for the last month, and Tomlin talked about it.
They can catch the ball or they can get replaced by those that will catch it, and it's just as simple as that. Like I've often said, man, I expect guys to make routine plays routinely. And when there's a pattern of that not happening, then we got to look at, who we're throwing the ball to. The coaching of catching the football for those who are employed to do it at this level is not something that I got a lot of patience for.
It's so good. So here's the thing. Pittsburgh's like, I got a football team. No, your offense drives me crazy. The playoffs are all about details. They're not about the most talent. New England wouldn't be a dynasty if it was about talent. It's not about talent. Pittsburgh's had more talent than New England most of the last 20 years. But they are first in the NFL in drop passes, and they're near the bottom in yards per carry, which is another efficiency stat. Yards per carry doesn't mean you have the best backs. What it means is your blocking techniques can hold people for 4.2 yards a carry. So, once again, Pittsburgh's issues are on the offensive side. They drop too many passes, and their yards per carry stinks. I know their offensive line's not bad, and I don't blame Tomlin for this. So this is why when I watch Pittsburgh, I see a team that can't run and drops the ball, and they're not buttoned up. There's been the Saints and the Patriots are always buttoned up. Now, they lack components. New Orleans doesn't throw the ball over the top. New England, outside of the Randy Moss years, has never been terribly dynamic on the outside. But I always feel they're buttoned up. Once again with Pittsburgh, I feel like offensively, you're going to play a Kansas City that does all the little things well, or a New Orleans that does the things well. If you got to a Super Bowl and Pittsburgh's talented but doesn't do the little things well. And so they just and I used to really bag on Tomlin about this, but the more I inspect it, it is mostly offensive side of the ball underachieving. And I like the way he addressed it. By the way, the Carson Wentz topic is fascinating. So Nick Wright was on. He just mentioned this, and he's right. He said there's a perfect place for Wentz to go. It's the Colts. It is the place to go because they're paying Phillip Rivers $25 million a year, Jacoby Brissett $21 million, the backup. So it's $46 million. You'd save $10 million getting Wentz, right? And they're pretty much a young roster. The other thing is people will think, well, that is cost prohibitive. No, it's not. What's cost prohibitive is Phillip Rivers and Jacoby Brissett making 46. If Wentz goes back and works as well as he did with Frank Reich earlier, that's market average. The other thing we do, we know, you and I know this, not only in football but life, environment matters. Leonard Williams was traded from the Jets to the Giants. He is a significantly better player, same house, goes to the same stadium. He's a better player with the Giants than the Jets. Why? Coaching and culture. Ryan Tannehill in Miami to Tennessee. It's like a different player. Last year he was like a Pro Bowler at times. Why? Different culture. I wrote somebody else down today that made me think of that. There's another player somewhere. Oh, Minkah Fitzpatrick. Miami couldn't figure out where to use him. Pittsburgh brings him in. The first game they had him, he had like a pick six. So Minkah, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Ryan Tannehill. We know that Wentz, right now in Philadelphia, he doesn't connect with his coach. He doesn't connect with his coordinator. He's a small-town kid in an angry northeast city that's loud and outspoken. It doesn't work. So just change the environment. Leonard Williams to the Giants. Make a Patrick to the Steelers. Ryan Tannehill to the Titans. Carson Wentz. It's not a bloated contract with that offensive line, Michael Pittman, Jonathan Taylor, that GM and that coach, if he works, $35 million is exactly what you'd pay a top 12 quarterback in the NFL. Joel Klatt, going to bust my chops, I imagine. Hour 2, live in L.A. It's The Herd.